All right. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line as he does, well, most every week except last week because he was on vacation. Friends, it's Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend. Hey, buddy.
I told you off air, but I just want to say it on air because I feel like our listeners are owed it. I loved hearing you and Moose reunite. I love hearing you guys come back together when I'm out because I know you guys are old radio buddies, and it makes me very happy to hear that energy. And if there's any way to do it, I would love to get the three of us on at some point for like one of these because I think it would be phenomenal.
But no, he's a lot of fun. It's a lot of old hat stuff when we get together, and it'll go back to, well, do you remember this one time we did this? Because actually he brought that up this week and you know what? Let's start here. Let's get into this and we can kind of go. Because there is an error and omission from last week. I legitimately thought Transformers 1 came out last week. I was incorrect. What made me think that, I got invited to a screening on Saturday morning, and I thought, oh, it's a special thing. It's out, and lo and behold, it is not. It is out this weekend, right?
Yeah. No, I totally understand you because I was sitting there listening to it and thinking, no, it's next week. No. And I was like, it's one of those moments where you're yelling at the podcast and you're listening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, you know what? They've been doing a really good job they did some really early screenings. Like, I forget what the earliest one was, but I had an opportunity to see this a couple months ago. And unfortunately, it just conflicted with, I think it conflicted with my last London work trip.
Okay.
And I was unable to go. But then there was, I think, at least one more screening after that. There's been a couple fan screenings. And then last weekend, like you said, they had it end Saturday. Yesterday, they even had we're recording on Thursday. Wednesday, they had a fan event where you could have saw it. I know one of the theaters by me was doing it in 3D 40X, which is what the format I'm going to go see it in tonight when I do it because we're doing a premium review on it, and premium format review.
And we should have a little bit of time travel this week. We'll try and get together tomorrow morning and get the review of Transformers. But anyways, going back to the old hat stuff, I forgot that Moose and I had interviewed Brian Tyree Henry way back when.
Oh, right.
We interviewed him when he was getting on Atlanta, when that was coming out. We'll get to the actual review of Transformers 1 here in a little bit. We talked enough about it last week. We'll get the actual review here in a little bit. So otherwise, on the list this week, we do have a couple reviews. We have a movie and we have a TV show, a Disney series, I'll put it that way. That we're going to get into. Yeah. But let's do the movie first. Wolves. We talked about this a while ago. This is Brad Pitt and George Clooney, isn't it?
Yes, you are correct, sir.
Wow, good for me.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you check it out, buddy.
All right, give us a quick on this. First off, did you like it?
Oh, yeah. No, this is very, very charming and adjacent to Ocean's 11, but it's not. They're not just playing the hits here. Okay. It's not just, hey, Danny and Rusty are back for an Ocean's movie we didn't know about, although this movie kind of has sparked more interest to get Ocean's 14 back off the ground, and they do have a rumored director hired for that. But outside of that, Wolves is fun, R-rated action comedy. Like it's almost as if you take Steven Soderbergh's Ocean's movies and you mash it up with like a Coen Brothers movie.
Okay.
Like these two dudes were in Burn After Reading together. So you kind of mash those energies together, and that's kind of what you get here. And it's John Watts, who's written and directed this film. This is his first big movie outside of doing the Spider-Man trilogy for the MCU.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really cool to see him use his skills as like someone who's graduated from, I guess the Marvel School of big budget filmmaking on something that's more street level and more R-rated and wryly funny like this.
Okay.
And also Austin Abrams playing the kid that's sort of the third wheel to these two throughout the night is also just hysterical. He has this nervous energy where he's just this good-hearted tryhard.
Okay.
And he gets a couple of moments where he has like these little rambling monologues where it's like, wait a minute, I have to tell you my story. I have to tell you what led to this so you fully understand. And meanwhile, you've just got Clooney and Pitt who have like no patience for this. They're two cleaners that are competing against each other because they're both hired to they're forced to work together because they're hired to clean up someone's mess, turning out to be the mess being the kid.
Okay.
Who then sort of accompanies them through other twists and turns. But you've got Austin Abrams just like sitting there in this seedy motel, rattling off what led him to the night's events. And it's just one thing after the other, and he just does it like, you know how it's hard to act nervous or just jittery? Like, he does it perfectly.
Moving on down the line, since you brought up John Watts, in the Marvel connection, we are going to Marvel now as Agatha. Was it Agatha all along? I forget what they actually named this.
Yes, and just the fact that you asked that question makes me happy, because it's like, it's someone's like, was it Agatha all along? It's like, yes, it is Agatha all along.
Well, what it had like 5 different names, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. You know something? Let's take a quick walk through Agatha all along's numerous names while you sort of set us up here.
All right, so this dropped on Disney Plus last night.
First 2 episodes.
Yep, first 2 episodes over on Disney Plus. That would have been the 18th. Here we are on Thursday. I have watched it. You have watched it. This, of course, is the continuation of, Agatha from WandaVision, and we still haven't gotten Mephisto yet, and we're still upset about that. But the series...
I really just don't care about the Mephisto thing.
Yeah. No, I know. We made the joke as soon as one of the characters popped up last night. I go, Mephisto, and my wife sort of laughed. Overall, I don't know... I've been trying to gauge whether or not I like this. And to set this up a little bit, as we're watching last night, I'm kind of moving through social media, and I see a couple different places, and they have wildly different critiques of this. One was, this is absolute garbage. Another place had it as it was like an 8 out of 10. Opinions are very, very different on this series so far. And granted, we've only had 2 episodes of it so far, but the opinions have been wildly different.
No, yes, they have. And I'm starting to wonder if that's just the de facto state of Marvel at this point. Like, Marvel is going at, like, from this point on, it is going to be divisive for the most part, because there's like, when you land something like the Infinity Saga, are so many places, only so many places you can take things. And there are only so many ways that fans are going to disagree which way should have been the way to go.
Yeah.
And also WandaVision, I think it's divisive. I know it's divisive in my heart because, look, I was not a big fan of WandaVision. I thought it started out strong and then fizzled in the middle and just flopped at the end. But Agatha all along, I went in with that skepticism. It's like, okay, I'm going to watch this because it's court-appointed Marvel viewing. I need to go in and at least, know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The first episodes was a dud to me. Okay. And the reason is because it is trying too hard to follow up WandaVision. And I think what should have happened is that whole gag should have only played out through the first act of the episode, if not the first 10, 15 minutes. Because we've done the WandaVision thing. We know that Agatha's trapped in there, and okay, cool. We don't need to revisit that. We don't need to relitigate that. What I wanted to say more of, and what I'm hoping we get more of, is episode 2, which was Agatha being in the world, freed from a spoiler alert, but it's not really that much of a spoiler because if you've seen the trailers, you know this. Freed from the curse and assembling her own coven to go on the witch's road, because that's apparently the way she can get her powers. Like, she's powerless right now.
So let me go back to that first episode and a couple thoughts I had, because I am stuck in the middle of, I don't know if I like this or not after the first 2 episodes, I should say. And after the first episode, my thought was, as powerful as they made Scarlett Johansson and the Scarlet Witch out to be, or Scarlett Johansson, I'm sorry, I got the brain.
Elizabeth Olsen.
As powerful as they made the Scarlet Witch in not only in that series, but what she became in the Doctor Strange sequel.
Yeah.
I thought it would be harder for Agatha to get out of the curse.
I don't disagree with that.
Like, I wanted it to be more of a struggle to see her come out of the curse. The way she came out of it was comic relief to me. It was...
I don't think it was totally comic relief, because you still have Rio Vidal, played by Aubrey Plaza, sort of nudging her along and pushing her towards that realization.
Yeah.
And it's almost like she's kind of hastening it, because it's like, okay, fine, you know what, I need you out of here because I want revenge on you. I want to kill you.
It seemed like they needed a way out of it and they just wanted to get it done. So they pulled her out of it, and next thing you know, she's back to being Agatha. I did like the scene where she like comes out of it and she's like, what the is going on? I did like that, but
yeah, which is apparently they lobbied for that, which because I think it's like Marvel's only second nude scene.
Yeah,
and we do have a story up on CinemaBlend about how they pushed for that and they were very happy that it stuck, and it works. It works for shock value, and it's one of those things where it's not gratuitous. It's funny.
So.
Like they play it off correctly.
No, that was a great scene. It really was. It was very well done. It was very like there were little things about it. There are things I like about this and things I don't so far. That's why I'm kind of stuck in this weird nether of I don't know if I like this or not. I don't know if I hate it.
That's perfectly valid because we're early. We are only 2 episodes into what I think is an 8-episode run.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing because, it's an 9-episode run. 2 episodes into a 9-episode run because this is still a limited series, and it's, very much it's a follow-up for WandaVision, and it's also setting the table for Vision Quest, which is coming next year. And it's still too early to tell what's going on.
Yeah.
Totally. So there's, I even tweeted it last night. It's like, I am excited to see what happens, but I am still cautiously optimistic because I remember the first 2 episodes of WandaVision were great. And then I was not happy with where everything sort of took a decline from that point for me. Right. I'm cautiously optimistic, but pretty happy with what we got in that second episode.
The second episode it took a minute in the first one to get past. It was like, oh, she's still in the dream, and this is why it's so badly acted. Because for a second I thought, oh God, this is gonna be bad, right?
And that's part of why I don't think they should have done it for a whole episode, because that grated on me.
So you have that, but then you have in the second episode, you had moments where I really like there's little things that I really enjoyed, like when the kid is telling her, oh, could you write that down for me? Oh, okay. Then the pen's in the glove compartment, and she throws it out. Like, I really like some of that stuff, but then you have moments where almost kind of overacted. Like for everything I liked, there was something that kind of drew it back for me.
Like, you think still overacted in the second episode?
Yeah. Like, it was like, okay. It was a weird back and forth for me watching it. But you know what thought I did have at the very beginning of this whole thing, and what everything is supposed to be in the MCU, right? Or I know that we've got the multiverse and stuff.
Yeah.
In where we're supposed to wedge this into the MCU proper, we'll say, right?
Yeah.
As much as everybody, always goes on about the comic books being, in different universes or the same universe or all these stories happening at once, I feel like I wish I had that feeling about this show. I wish I had that feeling about some of this stuff where it's like, I don't need it to completely make sense within the MCU proper. Because at the same time that we're dealing with witches and the Witch's Road and power and all this magic and stuff, on the other end of it, we have space wizards.
And so you don't want it to be like, totally connected with everything. You just want it to sort of be its own thing.
Kinda, I think. I don't, there's a weird where you try and fit these puzzle pieces together, and it's like it's pieces from the same company, but it's not the same puzzle.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that WandaVision really set me off with, because they're like, oh, hey, we're not trying to make this fit into everything else. And it's like, but you kind of are.
Yeah. Between
the cameos that you brought in and the things that you sort of, like literally ending you set us up for, it's like, no, you were part of everything, whether you like it or not.
I will watch this. I'm not turned off by it by any stretch. I just don't know if I'm turned on by it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Again, it's early days.
So
and I am going to be the first to admit that it can go either way, but I definitely it's getting to the right time of year. We're getting into Halloween season, horror movies, and all this exciting stuff.
You know what one of my hopes is for this show, though? And I know the WandaVision stuff really sticks in your craw. Did I like WandaVision and the finish to it? No, not really. Did I love the water cooler talk that came from WandaVision? Yes. Theorizing each week.
That is totally valid. And that's why you have a lot of streamers moving towards this newer model of maybe a multiple episode premiere and then you go ahead and drip feed everything out afterwards. And even in how they release episodes to the press, there's a certain strategy to it, because I had the first 4 episodes for this in my email. I didn't get to it because I was on vacation, a whole bunch of other things came up. I was kind of dreading watching it, and it's also kind of difficult to log into some of the platforms that they stream things through. But I'm now mad that I didn't go through all 4 episodes, because I was at the end of episode 2, and it's like, great, I do want to see what happens next year. You have my attention. Let's see where this goes. And, I have to wait like everyone else now.
Yeah, now you're just a peasant like the rest of us. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend on the line with me. I don't ever go into these hoping they're going to be bad. I'm not.
Oh no,
I'm not convinced that this is going to be great, and I hope it is. We'll see. So, on the other side,
I agree with you. I never head into anything like. I'm sorry to cut you off. I never head into anything like this wanting to hate it.
Yeah,
I still want to see the Crow reimagining, because I'm curious to see how it plays out. And I've heard about some of the big changes that they made in there. And it's like, okay, I want to see how this plays out to fully form my opinion on whether it's like, or not. But yeah.
All right. We'll get to more Agatha probably next week. One of the other shows that's actually premiering tonight that you're real excited about, The Penguin, coming out on Max, correct?
Yep. This is the limited series continuation of Robert Pattinson's The Batman, but focused on the Penguin, a.k.a. I think they changed his name to Oz Cobb, played by Colin Farrell in this TV show. And it is going to go through his family issues, trying to make a name for himself in the power vacuum that is the Falcone crime family. And I am hearing that Kristen Milioti, who plays Falcone's daughter, who is also known for her guest spot on Black Mirror. She was the mother in How I Met Your Mother. I'm hearing that her performance is amazing in this. And I am very hyped for this, because I loved the Batman, and I want more of that universe. And plus, Colin Farrell's Penguin is one of the standouts. Like, watching him just have so much fun, like not hamming it up, but definitely playing up the Penguin's sort of mafia connections while also keeping it grounded enough that you still felt him as a threat.
Yeah.
Like, again, this is a villainous character that you want more of. You want to watch him go through his struggles. And yeah, they'll humanize him to a bit, but they'll probably keep him as just the same old dastardly Penguin that, you want bats to come in and pow and biff in the face.
It's almost if you put The Sopranos in a comic book world.
Yes, and that is also what I love. I love when you can let's take grounded concept X and bring it to the comics. Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And now Brave New World. It's like, what if we took like a 70s political thriller and put it into Marvel? And that's why I loved Winter Soldier, and that's why I am so looking forward to Brave New World. That's also why some other Marvel movies don't appeal to me as much in that universe. Even though it's Marvel, there's a wide variety of flavors, there's a wide variety of stripes that everybody can enjoy, and then everybody has to come together every now and then for the family reunions known as the Avengers movies. And DC has that same sort of thing, especially since now they're embracing Elseworlds again, where it's like not everything has to be on the DC EU Chapter 1 timeline. Some things can just rest outside and have fun while we have this clear vision for what we want.
Kind of like what we were talking about at the beginning of Agatha.
Yeah, like multiverse stuff. Like you go back to the beginning of the MCU, and I probably would have told you, man, I kind of hate the fact that DC has, these different worlds going on, and it's not always Tim Daly as a Superman or Kevin Conroy as Batman. But now that we're almost 20 years entrenched into the new comic industrial complex, it's like, something? I kind of miss those days, because I still want Ben Affleck's Batman to be able to do his own thing if Ben Affleck ever wanted to, while at the same time saying, okay, we've got this big story over here. That's a different Batman. But if you still want this other flavor of Batman, we've got that for you.
Yeah. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend on the line with me right now as we chat about the world of movies and entertainment and everything in between. To wrap up this week, just a couple quick hits. We got a trailer for Mickey 17. Speaking of the Batman, Robert Pattinson. This is going to be his new movie, and it looks very interesting in a very weird way. And the more I think about it, you may be right. He may have based this off of Fry from Futurama.
Okay, so I'm going to go through the basic concept, but I suggest people watch this trailer immediately because, well, after you listen to the show, of course, but because this is one of the best uses of Dean Martin's Ain't That a Kick in the Head. Mickey, played by Robert Pattinson, is this guy on Earth who needs to get out, and he signs up for this program where he becomes what's known as an expendable. They copy his body and likeness, and they use him in deep space, like labor, exploration, and what have you. Whenever one of them dies, they human print another one to go out there and continue, and they give him his memories up to when he died. So you've already got like a little bit of Moon here, and then you've got director Bong Joon-ho, who is also known for winning the Academy Award for Snowpiercer. For Parasite. He also directed Snowpiercer. This feels like Snowpiercer kind of mixed together with Moon and a little bit of The Martian, because you've got this hapless guy who's just kind of like, and the voice that Pattinson's doing for this reminded me of Billy West's Fry, where it's sort of like, geez, I'm kind of doing this and doing that. And then there's one point in the trailer where my wife is like, he's Space Eeyore. Because the part where it's like, oh my God, he's still alive. And one of the Mickeys is like, it's okay. Like they're about to dispose of the body like they normally do. But this one's still kicking, and he's like, whatever.
No, you know what? The Eeyore thing is very, very funny to me and very true. But overall, this looks like a fun movie. The time of year it's coming out is a little weird. I think it's like January, isn't it?
Dude, this was supposed to have been out. Okay, I need you to brace for a minute here, because I'm going to tell you exactly when this was supposed to come out, as I look through Wikipedia expeditiously, because I hate being wrong.
Release March 29, 2024, originally.
Yes, March 29th, 2024, this was supposed to be out. They put out a teaser for this before it happened, and then for some reason, which there's a lot of rumors as to why this happened, it was pushed off for a year.
Huh. What was the rumor?
The rumors were like the studio did not like what they were getting out of the movie. There was reshoots, there was retinkering, but one of the big things that was also factored in is the fact that the SAG-AFTRA strike kind of delayed things, and also post-production basically trying to make everything look good, and you have to put in those effects. Everything sort of, the strikes are one of the official reasons, but I had heard rumors, and this is just talking out of the martini glass here. It's not anything proven. I heard from some I thought I'd heard from some that it was like, they're not so sure on what they're getting here. But from what we saw in this trailer, something worked. Something looks like it worked. And I'm glad that, if pushing this movie off a year meant that it kept things going and made it something that we're all going to love, fine. You take your time. I think that's something that I really want to see Hollywood kind of embrace in the years to come, because I think I was talking with someone about this, where it's like you go back and look at childhood memories of the movies, and like Mrs. Doubtfire played at a theater by us for like over a year. That's unheard of. Like there 80s All Over, a defunct podcast that I loved to listen to back in the day. You had critic Drew McWeeny talking about how E.T. and like Raiders of the Lost Ark were in these smaller movie theaters for like over a year, and people loved these movies so much that they would just take other people to go see them and go see them again. You don't get that as much right now. Like the closest you get to that is something like Top Gun Maverick, where it's out in May and then it carries over the summer and into the fall, and like was on streaming at Christmas.
Okay.
That is a long-ass win when you consider current movies. And again, part of that was probably because of the fact that COVID gummed up the works and things were delayed, and there was a need for product in theaters.
Okay.
But when something hits now, it hits. And it reminds you of those old hits.
Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend on the line. I'm looking forward to Mickey 17, and you should be too. That's all we're going to say, right?
Exactly. I'm ready to go out and read Mickey 7 now because that's the name of the original book. But in doing my research, Bong Joon-ho was like, yeah, well, we killed Mickey a couple more times in the movie than we do in the book. And it's like, so you killed him 10 more times in this movie. I'm starting to think you have a lot of fun with this on your end. And that also intrigues me.
Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend joining me on the line to talk about movies and such. As we wrap up today's talk, we will have a little bit of time traveling here at the end. We'll talk Transformers 1. And, of course, we might get the review of The Penguin, which is something that Mike is very, very highly intrigued by. There is a news story floating around out there this week. It involves the Ocean Gate stuff and the Titan submersible and, the hearing and proceedings that are going on with this. And before we get into this conversation, I want to preface it by saying this isn't a humor drawn thing. This isn't I don't feel sorry for the victims. It's not anything like that. My simple question to Mike before we recorded today, we were talking about it off air, because of some of the information that's coming out in the hearings, the pictures that you're seeing of like the submersible on the bottom of the ocean, the drama that ensued from the story when it happened last year, they have to make a movie about this, right?
Well, see, the thing is, I don't even know if you necessarily need to just make a movie. I'm wondering if this is going to be a limited series because of all of the things, all of the factors that you just mentioned in your sort of rundown there. I'm actually kind of surprised that it hasn't already sort of been announced as developing, but I think some people may be trying to just wait until all of the facts are out before they say, hey, we do want to make this story, or no, we don't want to make this story.
Here's the other thing about it. The reason I think about this, when stories like this come around, I go back to 9/11, 2001. It was within 5 years we got World Trade Center.
5 years.
With Nicolas Cage.
Yep, 5 years with World Trade Center, and then United 93 was around the same time, if not not too far behind it.
So going to this, the other question I had, it was essentially...
So World Trade Center was 2006.
Yeah, I mean, it was within 4 or 5 years of it happening. So...
we were right. It was United 93 and World Trade Center that were both out in the same year. United 93 being out in April and World Trade Center being in August.
So you look at this story, this Ocean Gate stuff. The hearing is happening now. This story happened last summer. It gripped the nation for a couple days that there may be these people on the bottom of the ocean by the Titanic, slowly suffocating. Like, we didn't have the information that that there was an implosion, or at least not that they had made public. You have the stories of the CEO, and how he ran this company and stuff. So not only is the question are we going to get a movie about this, but what part of the story do you go after? Do you do it of the hearing? Do you make it like a Sully type movie? How do you think they cover this? Because I don't think I have a doubt in my body that they will at some point.
No, I think they will. And to your point, the reason that you're asking these questions is exactly why they will. This is sort of how culture, up to a certain point, this is how culture has sort of processed events like this and then ultimately past events in history. We do it through historical drama and through either speculative or through as historically accurate as we can retellings of what happened or what we think happened. I mean, you go back and look at Deepwater Horizon. That didn't take too long to come into the forefront. And it's the way that we sort of process history.
It's so...
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a mixture of, it probably fall along the lines of a Sully, where it's like you have the proceedings, but then you maybe begin with or flash back to the incident itself.
This Stockton Rush guy, the CEO and founder of Ocean Gate, or co-founder, excuse me, there's a lot of stuff out there about the dude right now. We'll throw allegedly in there. But, you look at the corners that they may have cut. You look at the workplace stuff of how he possibly treated people. you have a lot of stories coming out, and as soon as I saw it this week, it was like, okay, when's the movie coming out? Or like you say, I didn't even think about it. When's the mini series come out on it? The docu series,
like, I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if this became the next American Crime Story or something that Ryan Murphy puts together for FX, because he does so many of those series right now. I mean, it's definitely something compelling to keep in mind.
So,
and, like, when's like the best-selling book going to come? Like, when's the best-selling sort of journalistic recalling of all of this going to come out? Because that's another step. You would think the book will come first, and then the series or the movie, because that'll be a template for people to work through to get all the information.
Well, you go back to last summer, it really gripped the nation and the world for a few days. And then, to find out all this stuff afterwards, allegedly about this Ocean Gate company, because by time we were really getting into the story, if I remember the timing correctly, by the time everyone was really getting into the story, it was already over. Yeah.
Like the chances of survival were already, like, it was already game over by the time the world had been alerted to this happening.
So it'll be interesting to see what comes of this. But Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend joins me every week to talk about movies and such. We'll do some time traveling, and we'll be back with a real review of Transformers 1, since me and Moose kind of jumped the gun last week, and possibly The Penguin. We'll see what happens, okay?
Okay. And, hey, stop with that real review stuff. Give Moose more credit.
Well, we didn't know the movie hadn't come out yet. So, anyways, we'll do some time traveling, and we'll have some real weird noises right now. We have landed in the future, everybody. Please return to your seats and trays to their upright position. What? Huh?
I didn't want to interrupt your spiel. That was cool.
It was okay. It wasn't that great. I'm struggling this morning. Friends, we have officially arrived in the future. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend.com is on the line with me right now. And last night, while I was out judging a battle of the bands, yes, believe it or not, that's what I was doing.
About that.
Uh-huh.
You got to talk about that.
Oh, it's one of the casinos in town does a battle of the bands, and the way they do it, they have two bands face off every Thursday night, right? The way they even it out is they draw from a big fishbowl the era that they're going to play. So each band doesn't know what they're going to play going into it. So like last night, the first band had to, they drew it out and they said, okay, you can play anything from the 1980s to the 2000s. The other band, it was like 60s to 80s. And you had to, and we had to judge. So,
wow.
Very close competition. And then I had a couple beers with somebody afterwards.
I mean, as one would do.
You know what? And completely off the subject of movies, but we are getting into the time of year when those good Oktoberfest beers are out.
Oh, so good.
Very good. So there's a local brewery called Big Grove Brewery, and they do a fabulous Oktoberfest. So
I do enjoy myself a good Oktoberfest.
Hence why I got McDonald's coffee this morning. So Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend is on the line. All right, let's dive into it. You actually did see Transformers 1 and The Penguin last night. We'll briefly go over both. Let's start with Transformers 1, your trip to the movies. What do we think?
Transformers 1 is really good.
Is it the best Transformers movie ever?
I'm close to saying yes.
Wow.
Like, this is another one of those things where I don't know if I told you, I actually watched all of Terminator Zero the other week.
Oh, okay. No, you didn't say that.
And that's also fantastic. Highly recommend that. But I was watching that and thinking, I don't know if I want to see another Terminator live action movie. Like, I don't need to see another Terminator. I don't know if I want to see another Terminator live action. I don't know if I even want to see the John Connor story told again because of what Terminator Zero does with this universe.
Yeah.
And how it opens the door to literally limitless possibilities. So then I go and watch Transformers 1 last night, and I kind of thought the same thing because it is very much at home with being a movie that is accessible to children and adults.
Okay.
But it's not crassly funny. It's not cheaply funny. It puts in humor where it is needed, but at the same time, Brian Tyree Henry gets to go dark with this movie, and he owns the role of D16, who will now become Megatron. And that's another thing that people have to keep in mind going into this. Transformers 1 is an origin story. It is basically Orion Pax and I think it's D16.
I think you're
becoming right. Optimus Prime and Megatron. And, I forget his number, is not Bumblebee just yet. And it introduced me to all this stuff I did not know about Transformers canon, like how a Transformer transforms. And the certain wrinkles that are in that there's a whole thought thread about that, and there's a little bit of unevenness because of the fact that between some of the performances and some of the characters are a little bit tonally different. Like John Hamm's Sentinel Prime is he's hysterical, but I don't feel like they let him go truly dark.
Okay.
But he's still good.
Okay.
It's just, I think there was this, it's sometimes the tone is not always 100% going for it, but the movie 100% goes for it. Okay. And I was in awe of what I saw. And in addition to that, I went and saw this in 3D and 4DX. And this is... You were a
Transformer then.
Dude, I literally have in my notes, I felt like a Transformer. There's a moment where they're getting, the core group is getting their cogs to turn into Transformers. And there's a rumble in the back of the seat where you feel it rumble in. And then their first big transforming sequence where you hear the noise, it was do, 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 do. The seat vibrates along with it to the point where it's oh wow, I just transformed.
That's
it.
That's cool. I mean, I'm not the big 40X guy or the seat shaking stuff, but to hear that it fits with the movie is good.
Oh, I love 4DX because it reminds me of the simulators in theme parks where they'll have the 3D movie with the 3D IMAX movies with the simulators, and some of those are my favorite attractions. It's so much fun to watch a movie and have the motion go along with it, and you're just you feel more. Because with 4DX, the whole thing is you have not only moving seats, but you've got scent triggers, air cannons. Whenever someone's shooting a cannon in Transformers, you feel the air going past your ears and everything. And scenes where people are flying or you're dropping through the air, they have big fans on the side that really made you feel it. Although I still think so far the MVP for that sort of effect is Alien Romulus, where you felt the decompression of an airlock.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend on the line with me. So Transformers 1, a good one. I may try and take Jace this weekend. I'm kind of interested in seeing it. We just got to figure out. I mean, just got to figure out if we can make that timing work.
Yeah, it's the most family friendly the franchise has gotten. Chris Hemsworth is a fantastic Orion Pax / Optimus Prime. I don't know why they didn't go with Peter Cullen, but I guess maybe it's I wish I had an explanation for why Peter Cullen wasn't there. I'm guessing it's the youth thing, but I'm wondering if it's another case of... Go on.
I was just going to say, I thought I saw it when Moose and I were talking about this last week, that in the plan of a trilogy with this, that there is a plan to take Chris Hemsworth's voice and go more Peter Cullen towards the end of the trilogy.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. And Hemsworth does a good job. He kind of sounds like John Wayne in pieces of his Optimus Prime. I'm not lying because he's well, I'm very much about blah, 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 blah. And it's we've heard Chris Hemsworth do an American accent before, but this almost sounded adjacent to John Wayne, and I am very curious if that was his thing.
Okay.
That was the script that he latched onto, but it's great. I mean, Keegan-Michael Key, of course, is hysterical as who will be Bumblebee. Scarlett Johansson gets to be sort of the stickler of the group as Elita 1.
Okay.
And she gets to punch people out and chew them out big time, but also be a supporting friend. And it really is it was so much fun to watch this and of course leave it to Lawrence Fishburne to be the one that has to explain that, hey, the world is a lie. And there's greater things at work, and here's this mystical power.
Mike from CinemaBlend.com on the line with me right now. All right, on the other side of things, The Penguin came out on Max yesterday. This is one that you've really been looking forward to. What do we think?
Fantastic.
Now, did it come out all at once, or is it just episode by episode?
It is going to be episodic. They dropped the first episode because this is an HBO show. It's not a Max original. And even if it was a Max original, they might still want to met it out accordingly.
Okay.
I've seen with HBO that they've sort of been pulling some of their projects back from being Max originals and either going to theaters or going to HBO in general for broadcast. But with the Penguin, you get the full HBO experience with it because you watch the episode and then you get the preview for what's coming up. You get the inside behind the scenes mini featurette, and then there's even a podcast that goes with it, which I haven't listened to yet.
Okay.
But I watched the episode and got all the other stuff, and it just makes me miss special feature DVDs.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. You know what I was just thinking though? I was looking at the episode list. There's gonna be a reveal or something in this, right? Like a bigger Batman world
theory.
Type thing. Okay.
I have a theory on a reveal. So first, I'll switch back very quickly to what I thought of it. Yeah, you're basically getting The Sopranos / Scarface in Gotham.
Okay.
Like you're getting a gritty mafioso drama where this kicks off a week after the events of the Batman. Gotham still has it wrecked, and the power vacuum in the Falcon. Yeah, it was flooded because, for those of you who don't remember the end of the Batman, basically at the end of the Batman, the Riddler triggered explosives on the seawalls that flooded Gotham and just turned into this catastrophe, where it's basically like, what if Katrina happened in New York?
Okay,
is sort of the thing here. FEMA has set up camp. There's increased disparity where Gotham City is still flooded, but you go out to some of the ritzy bits areas that like the Falcones live in, and it's like nice. It's like Gotham's supposed to be set in Jersey, so it's kind of like you're going from Newark to Colts Neck, or parts of North Jersey. If anybody out there from Jersey is listening, and should be, but
you know what I always thought, real quick.
What?
I don't know why, but in my head, and a buddy of mine had a big discussion about this. In my head, Chicago was always Gotham and Metropolis was New York.
See, it's the other way around from what I've heard.
Yeah,
that
and I never...
Gotham is... Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, sorry, I was thinking about that, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but that's always what it's been in my head.
Yeah, some people have even taken like the map of Jersey and laid out the map of Gotham and shown like where certain things are.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
right.
It is pretty awesome.
All right, so back to this setup of the story. Gotham's in ruins. Penguin is rising to power. I guess we can put a spoiler alert on this. What do you think is your theory, or what is your theory, I should say?
All right, so we will definitely put a spoiler alert because while this theory isn't spoilery, the moment it's connected to that that's my thin proof at the moment is what's really going on.
Okay.
So the beginning of the Penguin, we see Oswald Cobb, played by the wonderful Colin Farrell yet again, through prosthetics and fantastic performative work. We see him meet up with Carmine Falcone's son, who's back in town, and he's got a bit of a drug problem, a bit of an alcohol problem. They're sitting there chilling and having drinks because the Penguin breaks into Falcone's office and steals his blackmail materials he has on like all the movers and shakers in Gotham.
Okay.
So he's talking to the son, and he learns that basically they're shutting down drops operations. Like they're shutting that down. There's something new coming. There is a new drug that is being, I think, shipped in, and the kid is sitting there and he's like, he's talking about the feeling of searching for a new high. Like drops are kind of old hat to him. He's searching for a new high. Let's just say I think he's looking for a drug that could take him places, and he just may not he may not have liked where that drug the places the drug would have taken him, because the kid's dead now, so it doesn't matter to him. But in case you're not picking up what I'm putting down there, I think this may be the door to Jonathan Crane and the Scarecrow.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was sounding like. If you're looking for mind altering, I mean, Scarecrow's your guy.
Yeah, I think, I don't know for sure. This show is very much going to be focused on Oswald Cobb and his quest for power in the Gotham City underworld. But I don't know if they're going to bring Scarecrow in as a presence, because this is going to be a Batman project without Batman, from my understanding. Like, this is just really more street level crime drama in Gotham, which I love. But I think they may introduce that, maybe setting that up, and then the Batman 2 may jump into it, or they may bring him on later on. Like, I know Matt Reeves recently confirmed that the Batman is basically going to be a trilogy. And shocking. I would not be surprised if... What happened?
That's shocking, a trilogy.
Well, the plan wasn't always there. Like, that plan wasn't always it always spelled out, especially because when the Batman was, being released, it was still around that point where DC leadership was changing, to the point where now we've got James Gunn and Peter Safran doing co-CEOing DC films. So people were wondering, okay, even though you're doing Elseworlds here, are you still going to keep the Batman? And the answer is apparently yes. So I think they'll probably set up Crane for the next film, and I wouldn't be surprised if Joker is going to be the final one, the big one.
Okay.
And if they keep doing TV series, I kind of want them to bring back... There was 2 concepts they had in the works that eventually just got tossed. There was going to be a Gotham Central series, which was going to focus on the GCPD. And then that was shifted into an Arkham series, which was then ditched. I'm hoping either of those can come back, especially because we see Sophia Falcone, played by Kristen Milioti, coming back into the picture after being freshly released. And she spent time in Arkham. And apparently, in the preview for the weeks to come, apparently Oz had a hand in that, and that's part of why she's pissed off at him. And the other part is she kind of knows he's got a game going.
Okay.
And she doesn't know. She may not know totally what it is yet, but she knows he has a game going. So I would love for them to go back to maybe use the Arkham series to go back to her story. And no matter what happens to her this season, like, you could always use it as a flashback or something. I don't know. Maybe she ends up going back and they don't kill her. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with this character yet. I just know that Kristen Milioti is fantastic as Sophia Falcone, and I don't think anybody would. I don't know how many people would really expect this. I'm not saying that they wouldn't expect her to have a good performance, but just she gets to go dark with this character. And most people probably still think it's the mom from How I Met Your Mother. Yeah. And she's like stone cold, having Colin Farrell tortured right in front of her. And I would expect nothing less from a fellow child of Jersey.
There you go. Mike Reyes from CinemaBlend on the line with me. I'm going to have to go back. I need to go back and watch The Batman again, and I'll see if I can start this series so we can talk about it a little bit more. You've got me interested. So, Mike, we'll leave it there for this week. You have yourself a great weekend, and I will talk to you next week.
Sounds good, man. I'll talk to you later.